All right. Hello, everybody. It's Brian. It's Wednesday. I normally stream on Tuesdays, but had some family and medical things happen, which everybody's fine. Just to give you a heads up. But yeah, Tuesday I didn't get a lot of sleep, so I was like, I'm just not feeling Tuesday. So, but thanks everybody for coming, hanging out. May not be a very long show, not as long as we've had recently with our malware stuff. I am researching Jeff's videos to analyze malware because I want to make sure that I don't accidentally do something wrong on stream. So I'm watching those streams. I am working my way through his analysis playbook, because I think it's important when you're analyzing malware to have a playbook, have a process by which you can follow to set up your lab. Obviously, we've done that through videos, but also to make sure that you're doing the same things over and over and over again, because one needs to be repeatable. A lot of the write-ups you see from malware companies, or not malware companies, but companies analyzing malware, it seems like they have the same kind of format. They're running Wiresharks. They're running specific tools that will give them not clues, but it's like there's a process, right? They're following a process. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe they get to 1, 2, 3. Oh, something interesting here. So instead of 3, 4, it's going to be 3, new 4, or 3, 4, and then they go back to what was 4. Now it's 5. That kind of thing. So following a methodology, following it methodically. For certain types of malwares, you might have a different playbook. For a rat, you may do something different, or remote access Trojan, you might do something different than if it was an info stealer or something like that, or a ransomware, especially if the aims of the malware are different. So what I was doing was, looking through Jeff's video on, how to analyze malware. So I think he has some malware that he's running through that, he's modifying INETSIM to analyze C2 communication. So there you go. If you're, working through a video on how to analyze malware, I surely do not want to be doing something on the fly where it's like, oh yeah, I should have gone and done that, because, analyzing malware, the last thing you want to do is infect yourself or breach that VM by doing something stupid. And I am that person. So I want to make sure that what I'm doing, and I'm going to probably need to go through a couple of times, maybe not even with Jeff's stuff, maybe with somebody else who's analyzing malware, kind of how-tos on how they do it, especially if they're using something other than a rat, or in this case, something that is calling out to a C2 or what have you. So yeah, just going to be going through that. So I may start through Jeff's video with folks on Friday if people are interested. You can go and watch his first video on how to set things up here, which we did several hours of that. There's Jeff right there, handsome devil. You can go and watch that video there if you'd like, and so I'm going to go back through and, watch how he analyzes malware. We've had people on before. We've actually done some training in the past with Security Shoggoff, Sec Shoggoff, who analyzed some malware, but it's been a few years. And I actually did not help out or get involved with that at the time.
Let's go ahead and run this, or open this up in PowerShell ISE.
Not him. Not him.
And let's take a look.
Twitter.
So we're not going to analyze it deeply. We're just going to take
Tyler Hudak. I knew it was Tyler, but I wanted to find his Slack or his
First
Twitter.
Thing that rings alarm bells for me when looking at this
does reverse engineering, IR, InfoSec, works at a small company called Trusted Sec, if you know that. And he's kind of a big deal. So at Trusted Sec. So some of his stuff may still be applicable. Some of his stuff, he's probably changed, tactics and all that. So you can follow him on Twitter if you'd like. You can follow Jeff on Twitter as well. I think I found him the other day.
Like load up a .NET executable in memory and try to run it in the background without alerting the user.
I do need to issue a retraction, a little bit of a Oops,
another
my
PowerShell
bad.
file being written to
There
C
was
users
an article
public, so that might
about
be a directory we put something
Southwest
like
Airlines and how
CaptureBat
I think on the
onto.
last
Again,
video,
this
oh,
or
let me-
CapturePy. Sorry, I used to use CaptureBat, and I started
yeah,
using
there you go.
CapturePy.
See, people have been
This
Googling the
Python
shit
script,
out of
if
this.
you
Right, digging into the
remember,
story
or if you
reveals
don't
lots of
remember,
places citing a tweet that
will
went viral
monitor a
claims
directory, and
Southwest
if
still
the
uses Windows
malware goes in and
3.1.
deletes anything from the directory,
So
writes anything there,
there
it will
was
capture that, so that
somebody
if
on
it does get
on
erased
Reddit
for some reason,
who, you know,
we
in
will
one of
have our
these
own
mini
copy.
threads had talked
You see a
about,
lot
well,
more
you know,
interesting stuff
Southwest is
here,
using Windows
you know,
3.1 and 95.
bypassing execution
There
policy to
was
PowerShell
actually
script.
somebody who
There's
found out
also
on Reddit
variations of
that
this, it
it's
looks like,
not
because there's also
necessarily
a
the
bash
case.
file of the same
You know,
name.
later people discovered an
There's
article from
a
2023 that
VBS file of the
compares
same name.
Southwest's internal
This is
software
interesting. Again, I'm not going to
with
go through and
Windows
analyze this. We
3.1,
probably could.
suggesting it's
not
nearly as
obfuscated or
old,
anything, so we could
but
probably
it
go
never
through
says
here and
Southwest is
analyze it,
actually
but,
using
yeah, I'd
Windows
say we should
3.1.
keep an eye out
And
on
so
that
I
directory.
think some of us,
And
including
maybe
myself, I'm going
anything
to
to do
mea
with
culpa on
Microsoft
that, my
Edge
bad,
update, as
make that
sticks
mistake.
out as
You know,
interesting
obviously there's
right
going to
there.
be some regulators and folks that are
They were
like,
nice
hey,
enough
you
to let us
know,
know that they're going to run the script every
why wasn't Southwest
2
affected?
minutes, or maybe that's
And
just
a lot of
fake
folks
description.
are
I'm not
asking
sure.
that question, why
Looks like
wasn't
they might
Southwest
actually be doing
affected?
it.
There was
Anyway,
other
it does
airlines
not
like
much matter
Alaska that also
our
were not
purposes, because
affected.
we're
Now,
approaching
obviously,
this
Occam's razors
just to
that
go in and see,
they're not
okay, number
CrowdStrike
one,
customers.
what
You know,
stuff on
not
the file
every
system
company
is
out
this,
there was affected by the
file
outage
affecting? What are some
because
indicators we can pull out?
they're
to
not
build
CrowdStrike
detection
customers.
signatures?
Now,
What kind
they
of
could have been
files is it
affected
dropping?
if
What kind
they
of
had a
network
third
activity is
party
happening? All those
that
things.
was using CrowdStrike,
So when I'm
and the
examining
third party
something
has
that I'm not
integrations
really
with
sure
the
what it's
main
gonna do, I'll
company
typically run a
and
suite
caused
of,
issues, which
some of these tools here.
is entirely
let's
plausible,
first of all,
possible.
like I
But
said,
in this
control
case,
desktop,
the
capture pi,
you know, for the
and
most
syntax
part,
for this is
Southwest
just to
was
get it
not
what-
necessarily
which directory
affected to the
would
same
you
degree as,
capture files
say, Delta.
which was C users public,
By
and
the
we wanna save them,
outage
I'll just
because
have a desktop directory called
they
save.
just may not be a
minimize
CrowdStrike
that,
customer,
running in the
or
background.
they've taken steps
go
to
ahead
not
and open up
automatically push out
command
updates without doing some kind of
You
vetting.
remember this is the one
There
for
was
security that monitors VBS,
just
and PowerShell, and
for
other scripting
everybody's
type languages running.
notifications.
It's really nice
Let's
for
go back over
deobfuscating scripts
here.
or checking
CrowdStrike
scripts as
did
they run to
release
see
a
what commands
report
are running. So I'll open
on
that.
what
I'm going
happened.
to open process
And
spawn control, but I'm going to save that
CrowdStrike,
for last because it tends to suspend
CrowdStrike is
all my
doing
other
some
tools as well.
not smart
So that
things right now.
PowerShell script
So
will
CrowdStrike posted up on their
suspend every
blog
new process that gets started
early this
and
morning or
prompt
late
you to
last
either
night.
keep it suspended or run it,
Their
which is
after
really
action
nice if you
report,
have
or
malware
what they
that's,
know
like, you know,
to date,
unpacking itself in
right?
memory or,
Their incident review.
trying to execute something in
They
memory,
said
tries to
that
start
as
a new
part of regular
process,
operations,
you
they
can halt it,
released a content
disk,
configuration
and
update for
then
Windows
continue on if
sensors.
you
So
want to. So
again,
keep that for last because you also
Southwest may not have
get
been
a
affected.
prompt
Some companies
for
may be
everything you
using
open.
CrowdStrike, but are not affected
let's go
because they
and
use
start
Linux and Mac
We will
only.
have iNetSim running.
Probably not
where's my
entirely
Linux?
realistic,
Right
but I
there.
would say if you're a heavy
We'll
Mac
start
shop or
iNetSim
heavy
shortly.
Linux shop, you weren't necessarily
yet.
affected by this if
They don't
you
want a whole lot of noise in the log. But
don't use Windows.
Wireshark, I always like to run them concurrently.
But so yeah, they issued an update for Windows sensors to gather telemetry on novel techniques. Systems in scope are Windows hosts running sensors 7.11 and above. The defect in the content was reverted at 0527 UTC, so
described it in part 1.
so like 10-ish o'clock, but by that time,
so it will tell
you know, it's already been deployed by a lot of companies. So 0527 UTC is
process, but it does this for every process. So
for me, it's like -8, I think. So yeah, that's it's like
typically what I
9,
used to
10
do
o'clock at night.
And so I'd see if I could pull out.
Let me see.
You
It
know,
is
process
currently
name like
22:01 right
PowerShell.exe
now, and it
or,
is 15:01
the name
here.
of the malware
So
if I knew it, and do it by
plus
process
7,
name.
yeah. So I'm -7 to UTC
clued me into
here.
the
So
fact that the newest
we're
version of Proudmon has this
-7, so
wonderful
that's
filter called
10 o'clock,
process
10
start.
p.m. the previous
So you can
night.
actually
So
set
previous night,
based
the
on
18th of
time.
yeah, about 10 p.m.
If we
Pacific
go
time
anything started
on the
after
18th.
that time.
Systems
And that should
coming
filter
online
out
after
all
this
the kind of,
time
like,
or that
background
did not
noise
connect during the
and
window were not
just
impacted. So
focus in on what's
again,
gonna happen
there's a
when we
lot
release
of
things. Just
things
keep
that had
it
to happen
background.
right before they figured this out.
What
So
else? We want System Informer,
there was
previously
what was this,
known
an
as,
hour? There was
Process
an
Hacker.
hour
You can see it
and
already captured
15
a bunch of
minutes
it from,
where if your
info
system was
that
on
as
and
it started
running,
up, so let me clear that out.
as long as it wasn't a Mac or Linux
And
box,
what else? I think that'll actually
as
do it.
long
This
as
is typically my,
you were not pushing updates. I mean, so there's a lot that's been going on here, a lot that has been analyzed by this outage. There was another thing that, let me see, Microsoft put out something saying 8.5 million PCs were affected by the CrowdStrike bug. Now, I'm not sure if 8.5 million PCs were Microsoft PCs, or if it was, I can't imagine globally it was 8.5 million, because
I am going to add a filter actually.
Seemed a little low for me. If it was 8.5 million PCs at Microsoft, I could believe that, considering the size of their Azure and the size of just the number of people they have who work at Microsoft. You know, I would assume tens of millions of potential instances of Azure. I don't know, but they have at least what, a million-ish employees plus contractors at Microsoft. So
and vice versa. So it gets kind of
I could see that being, you know, 8.5 million being Microsoft customer, or not Microsoft customers, but the irony was palpable as the crashes affected airlines, news organizations, banks, health services, and more. So, you know, part of that in the statement, Giant said only 8.5 million machines were impacted, considering 2023 data showed there were 1.4 billion PCs using Windows 10 or 11 around the world. But remember, blue screen crashes only affected machines running CrowdStrike code. As Microsoft's blog put it, while the percentage of affected machines was small, the broad economic and societal impacts reflect the use of CrowdStrike by enterprises that run many critical services. Right, and I think if we said that, we would find out which systems, which companies use CrowdStrike by the outage, if they were affected or no. And it is entirely clear that, say, when a core PC crashed at a business's central offices, it could affect other PCs accessing it for data, other digital systems.
Run the snapshot again with another tool. But
so Microsoft even helped by having a recovery tool to help repair PCs. There was a thumb drive that you had to create.
Multiple things at a time. One more filter I'm going to add is the PID for PowerShell running, you know, process.
This is where as much as I don't like admitting it, this is where the remote work stuff probably was not helpful. You know, the diaspora of people not coming into an office, or waking up to come into an office to find out that their desktop PCs no longer functioned, or actually in this case they would have functioned fine because unless they were running at that time of night. You know, there's a lot of things here that had to happen for you to be infected. So one, you had to be running your box during UTC time, so a lot of US-based people were not affected, right? Thursday night at 10 p.m. If you're still at work at Thursday night at 10 p.m., you're in some kind of niche business. Hey, Digital Warhead, what's up? Hey.
A savvy user would be tipped off
if you know
there might be fishy about.
There were really specific things. I think that's why this hit, you know, places like APAC and India and you know, extreme Eastern European areas, because you know people are just coming online in the morning. You know, India, it's around noontime for them, UTC. So I mean, about noontime local for them, noonish time.
Part of these.
So and APAC was during the day, so it was during their work day. So it would make more sense for that area of the world to be impacted more by this than say the U.S. folks, 10, 11 o'clock at night, unless you were, you know, absolutely working. So.
And see if it
Southwest, not affected, probably because they don't use CrowdStrike, or you know, many of their systems were not running at that time. Alaska Airlines, I think, also was mentioned. Why am I hearing someone else talking?
3 different files that
do I have? Oh, I have.
Users.
that would be Jeff. I had the video running in the background. My bad. That sucks. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you, Digital Warhead. I don't know why I had that running in the background. Shit. Well, I've only been doing it for 17 minutes, but you're the first person who said anything, so shit. Double shit. That's okay. Apologize, you know, for being talked over. Was it like you couldn't hardly hear me or him at the same time there, D-dubs? Or was it just distracting and I was, you know, overriding? Because I think they were both about the same dB, so it must have been like, you know, maybe it was coming in garbled a little bit. So, oh, well. that's okay. It's not like I had a ton of, watchers anyway. It was a bit hard to understand. That's okay. Thank you, Digital Warhead. Thank you for mentioning that. Thank you for showing up. I would have hated to have gone the entire hour and a half or 2 hours and realized that I had Jeff running in the background. You're double dipping, really. You're like multitasking. You can be listening to somebody analyze malware at the same time you're listening to somebody blather inanely about, the CrowdStrike outage. So, but there was a lot of things that conspired from this. So I think I didn't put the incident report in here. I'll do it again. Audio multitasking, that's for damn certain. Post-incident discussion from CrowdStrike on their blog, sensor content, wide range of capabilities, blah, 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 blah. The event on 19 July was not triggered by sensor content, which only delivered with the release of the Falcon sensor. There was a discussion on Twitter about it being like a null point kind of thing. Let me go see CrowdStrike. Somebody had written up a nice write-up, very, I would say, somewhat technical. There we go. Let's go see if I can find it. It was fairly complicated. Yeah, this is the other thing that came up. So this is a legitimate apology. It is an apology that came from CrowdStrike, not a fish, not a scam or anything like that. So they're really sorry the event occurred. It impacted them. No sensor updates, no new files are deployed. So they put a QR code in here, which, they said to express our gratitude for continuing to be a customer or whatever. Your next cup of coffee or late night snack is on us. Access your Uber Eats credit code by using the code this or scanning the QR code below. Apparently, whoever posted this also did not get rid of the code here. But my understanding is, yes, here they said the Uber Eats page provided an error message saying that this has been canceled by the issuing party, no longer valid. Confirmed to TechCrunch, the company sent the gift cards. We did send these to our teammates and partners who've been helping. Uber flagged it as fraud because of the high usage rates. So everybody wanted $10 free for a coffee or Uber Eats or what have you. It just feels real tone deaf. $10 for somebody who probably wasn't even involved here. There it is right there. So, Patrick Wardle, who we've I think I've commented on some of his stuff in the past. There was a out-of-bounds memory read triggering the exception, and that's what caused the BSOD. This unexpected exception could not be gracefully handled, resulting in Windows operating system BSOD. So you can actually, CrowdStrike analysis. I don't know why he blanked out the name. Weird. Yeah. Yeah, so Tavis also put this up. I'm not sure why he blanked out the person's name, but so there's a lot of stuff going on here. You can go ahead and read Tavis O's. If you're on Twitter and you happen to catch the original tweet from the original person, looks like he is kind of giving love for the person here, but I'm not sure why he blanked that person out. So. And let's take a closer look. Okay, so maybe there's some additional bits there that, nope, code doesn't match, code is more complicated, or his hypothesis is correct. There's a way to check, type U into KD and examine the surrounding code. He didn't, but we still can. His version of the faulting module has the bytes, and then take a look. There is a null check immediately before the dereference, so his theory is provably wrong. Oh, okay, so there's some, it wasn't a null point issue. So this code is reading pointers from the tail and some are invalid. Same crash seen by Patrick, except he saw the entirety, nowhere near null if this is uninitialized data. Perhaps it was okay during testing, that's why CS didn't catch it. Okay. I would say don't follow what the original person said. Patrick Wardle apparently is looking and has found what is the correct answer of maybe root cause of why this happened. So I'll post that one up as well. I've actually not been on Twitter for the past week. I have now become a fan of Reddit. So I'm on Reddit on various things there. So there's a zip file in case you want to grab that and pull that down. Might be fun to analyze that once you've gotten the zip file. You might want to grab it before it becomes gone and forever, disappeared. But yeah, so let me post that in chat just in case. That's how to get the Crowdstrike zip code. There we go. Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah, it just kind of, I don't know if that was a good marketing move for CrowdStrike to offer an apology gift card to one person, considering this probably cost many teams a lot of money. So I'm not sure $10 apology gift card was the best way to, yeah, it just feels a bit hollow and not worth the time. So somebody did post in the UK it's only worth about $7.75, and it cost me what, $5 for a cup of coffee at the place I was at in Dublin. So €5, €7, something like that. So yeah, it's rough. And I don't know. I guess part of the discussion about major incident responses is how you handle post-response discussion. I think the report is good. I think it's good to talk about why those happened, and what they're going to do about fixing it in the end. Sensor 7.11 was generally available to customers, including a new IPC template type to detect novel attack techniques that abuse named pipes. A stress test of the template was executed in our staging environment, which consisted of a variety of OSs and workloads. The template type passed the stress test and was validated for use. So it sounds like they did do some testing in their staging environment. And then they released channel file 291 following between okay, so 2 additional template instances were deployed due to a bug in the content validator. One of the 2 template instances passed validation despite containing problematic content data. Based on the testing performed before the initial deployment of the template type on March 5th. Wow, so this goes back almost 4 months. Trust in the checks performed in the content validator and previous successful IPC template instance deployments, these instances were deployed into production. Okay. Yeah, problematic content caused an out of bounds or resulted in out of bounds memory triggering the exception. How do we prevent this from happening again? Well, according to who said that, they probably couldn't find that in testing. As deleting them fixes the crash, this seemed to imply their contents matter, as CSA agent sys has references to them, and that's what's crashing. Sys files causing the issue are channel update files. They cause the top-level CS driver to crash as they're invalidly formatted. Oh, I think it was it Gossi that? I think it might have been Gossi that had posted that up. Oh, I don't know. Biggest cyber incident ever in terms of impact. Okay, okay, sure. I don't write code, Digital Warhead. So what do you mean by cop out? Huge cop out in that case. Was it a, we tested it in our test environment, it didn't work, so we went and was this the equivalent of, well, it compiled and nothing happened, so we're going to send it? Or because there was a problematic content because what they say, one of the two templates passed validation despite containing problematic content data. So they knew that there was some problematic content in there, but they still pushed it anyway. Oh, the shitty gift cards. Yes, shitty gift cards, especially to Uber Eats. I think it would have been better as an organization if they just said, hey, yeah, we busted any SLAs that we might have with any company, but as a show of good faith, and, woulda, shoulda, coulda, I'm not on the PR team, I'm not on the marketing team. It's hard to have a response like that, but I think, a cup of fucking coffee or, the equivalent of a freaking cup of coffee for Uber Eats, it feels like they could do more. They could have done better here, and they're probably taking that to heart too, because the backlash they're getting on, the fucking gift card thing is going to be rough too. Didn't the release reference an invalid memory location? How was that not caught in regression testing? Well, let's see. How do we prevent this from happening again? Improve rapid response content testing by using testing types such as local developer testing. Okay, so testing it on the local boxes. Content update and rollback testing, stress testing, fuzzing and fault injection, stability testing, content interface testing. So my question is, and I'm putting that out here. So if they deployed 291 internally and bricked their own systems first, my question was, my thought was, why weren't they dog fooding their own stuff? It would have been okay. Was this an update that needed to go out immediately? It sounds like some of this stuff was like 4 months in happening, right? March 5th, yeah, they created an IPC template instance to be released to production as part of content. So maybe they issued the IPC template instance already. For an endpoint security company, it feels like they should be dog fooding themselves. Anything that goes out, 291 should have been rolled out to all of CrowdStrike first, or staged. Again, I don't work for CrowdStrike. I used to work for them. I don't have any skin in the game. I don't have any affiliation with any of the folks there. It feels like they could have rolled this. Maybe they did. I don't know. Maybe they bricked themselves so quickly that they were like, oh, let's reverse it. But I do know that I used a Mac when I was there. So if they don't have a lot of people who use Macs at that organization, there needs to be some kind of way for them to test that in like somewhat of a real world. It would have been like everybody who works at CrowdStrike on work machines is going to have access to the beta release kind of stuff. I could see this if they said, hey, this needed to go out immediately. So, because we found a threat actor using this in the wild, actively exploiting, so we need to push this to the fleet immediately. I don't feel the same kind of, because of this write-up, I don't feel the same kind of urgency to needing to send out yet another update to the IPC template, which makes me think they could have deployed this to the beta channel internally. And hey, we've got 25 boxes B-sodding in CrowdStrike. Oh shit, okay, let's not send the release. Why are they B-sodding? It was right after we pushed this update. It just feels like they should have, there could have been some dog fooding done. I don't know, maybe they did. And maybe, they dog fooded it along with sending it out to the fleet. I don't know. But yeah, so for things that don't need to go out immediately, like we've got, Fuzzy Bear is, actively hitting up banks, and we need to push this update immediately for whatever reason. Push this update. Oh shit, we bricked some stuff. But for everyone else, it's been like for maintenance or new capability updates, this could have been a beta. This could have been like pushed out to all of the Windows boxes inside of CrowdStrike, or people who just want to live on the bleeding edge. Maybe they, maybe they're a customer and they're like, yeah, we want to help out, improve the sensor. Let's do this. So, it didn't need to be 8.5 million potential devices that got owned up. So hold that thought for a second. released. Yeah, where's that? Channel updates bypassed client staging controls and was rolled out to everyone regardless. A few IT folks who had the CS policy to ignore latest version confirmed that this was, bypassed, as this was content update versus a version update. Okay, so this would be like a content update is... It's good news for Microsoft. They can tell customers you should have been using Defender, not risk integration issue. Okay, yeah, no. Let's see. Kevin Beaumont. Outstanding. What are the sys files? As deleting them fixes the crash seems to imply their contents matter as its CSA agent. Right. Triggered a logic error. So yeah, they're reading these files in. Let me see. Have a file name. Yes, this was the workaround, like deleting these sys files. Configuration update triggered a logic error. The result. Okay, so I don't know where the. Here's what appears to be a file magic check for 0AAA at this address. This byte pattern is also the first 4 bytes of the channel files. A file with all nulls may fail this CMP. The value in RCX is compared to RBX. Okay, this is kind of cool. I bet I'll be looking at some of this eventually when I'm analyzing malware. So, setting the G-link up in the previous thread. These addresses were similar. CMP is formed. Yeah. So, I mean, if it does reference an invalid, location for memory, that that may be what caused the issue. I don't know. I didn't get to see what is inside these sys files. It feels like, they get read in during startup, and there's some issues there. This other drivers obfuscate data and xreft by CSA. So maybe invalid signature data triggered the faults in CSA agent. This would be easier to confirm via debugging. Yeah, taken from an array of pointers held in RAX, index RDX holds the invalid memory address. So this is an invalid memory address here for being able to pull that down. Yeah. I think there's a lot of good content out there about the post, the technical analysis of this. My guess is the report that they wanted to put up on the website, they couldn't make it overly technical. They wanted to speak to the process side of it and not down in the nitty gritty like, Patrick Wardle and Gossi and Taviso did. They figured there would already be people who are going to be doing the analysis of this thing anyway. Implement a staggered deployment strategy. Oh, hey, look at me. Yeah, look at that shit. So this is under, I hadn't even gotten down to this part yet, so that makes sense. Okay. Improved monitoring for both sensor and system performance, collecting feedback during rapid response content deployment during a phased rollout, provide customers with greater control over the delivery of rapid response content. Okay, so back to my comment earlier about, are they finding that, Fuzzy Panda or whatever is actively exploiting this? It sounds like they did do that. They were pushing out something because they had seen it being hit in the wild or what have you. And so they had to push out this patch. But, sorry, I don't need that. Okay, so it's turned off. All right. Allowing updates by granular selection of when and where these patches are deployed, provide content update details via release notes. Okay, so, document what you've done in the release notes, which customers can subscribe to. yeah, they're going to start documenting in release notes what exactly is being done here. That can be a two-edged sword, though, right? If you can sign up, it says customers can subscribe to. Sometimes companies will issue patches and they get overly verbose in their release notes, right? And so if you go to the latest version and there's some really detailed release, hey, that fixes this bug in, 15.4 that causes a null pointer dereference in this area, blah, 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 blah. Well, as an attacker, you can read these notes and go, well, anybody who's using 15.4 or earlier, there's a null pointer dereference in there, or something that could cause a remote code exec in earlier versions. And if this is a piece of software that isn't necessarily easy to update, or you've got companies out there that aren't patching for shit, you could use that. Hey, not much. We're talking about some of the things that kind of more fall out from the CrowdStrike stuff. I promise that we won't harp on this the whole time, but they posted up their preliminary post-incident report. So that's up above and a couple of things. If it's not in the stream chat, we can grab that. Yeah, hey, whooping ya. There you go. I think it's whooping ya. Whooping ya. I don't think it's continued loyalty. I don't know who got that. If it's some CTO or something over there that got this $10 bit. I can't imagine how many people got the $10 gift card from Uber Eats. I don't know how many people would actually use the $10 Uber Eats thing. It kind of went bad because Uber Eats is like, oh, hey, this looks like it might be fake, because a lot of people are clicking on it to redeem it. Please ask your questions. I either have an answer or I don't have an answer. So we'll find out. Digital Warhead might be able to answer. If we've got some lurkers, feel free to answer the question as well if I don't have the answer. So please ask away. Well, shit. I am out of water. That's okay. But yeah, there was a lot of things that went there. But I'm glad they're at least looking at phased rollouts, improving the monitoring of the sensors and systems to protect against that. I think having... Oh, this is the tweet you saw, UK Daniel. Oh, you know what? This might be the thread. Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, he didn't blurp his, this guy actually did. Perpetual Maniac was the one who came out with the write-up about that. That would probably, well, the fact that it says Google whistleblower is probably why Taviso, redacted the name there. So lack of error handling in a kernel driver is surprising. That's not what CS says is the issue. Of course, they're not going to say that, but it doesn't take a ton of... Yeah, okay, we're getting into, conspiracy territory for some of these folks. Yeah, honestly, last few days, I'm glad there's lots of lovely people here, because it feels like the crazies are outnumbering the sane people at this minute. That is, I will dink that real good. So Whoopanya says, sorry, I apologize, let me see. Opinion, yeah. Back in my day, when we built servers, we had these things called lights out cards. ALOM, OLOM, yeah. Meant you could boot into the system BIOS and fix machines remotely. Why don't they do this in the modern world? Seems like there's no way to remote into a machine that has a kernel panic. Yeah, 100%. I used to use ILOM and ALOM systems all the time. I actually was looking for an ILOM card for my box down here, my streaming box, because it also did things like remote power on. So if you SSH to the box, this was, of course, way back in the day. Way back in the day. No, ALOM cards. Yeah, there you go. Sun had them at one point. Automated, yeah, advanced lights out managers. I think HP called them ILOM. Yeah, you hooked up a management network to it, which was separate and supposed to be isolated from your normal network. And then it ran, I don't want to say it ran a basic, but it ran like an SSH server or something. It was basically like a computer on a card, which, back in old timey days was like, oh my God, we managed to put a computer on an entire card. Now you've got like a, Raspberry that would fit on like a quarter of this space, or a Pi Zero or what have you. And it would run an SSH server. I don't know if ILOM worked so well with Windows, but I know that it worked well with Solaris, Red Hat, all of those things, because it would be able to make those connections. It would be able to, I don't know if it can mount the drives or what have you, but anyway, yeah, it allowed you to remotely fix things in the days before, when you had to, remote into boxes when we still had a physical presence. Yeah, these are great. If they worked in my Windows box, I'd be all in. Actually, okay, I'm a dork, and I'm. Some of you are going to be like, oh my God, why the hell did you do that? But I want to post up this picture, copy image URL. I have my own automated lights out management. So what you see here is a SwitchBot. This little white box is sitting on top of my power. You see that right there? That's the power button for my computer. What I wanted was the ability to remotely access or turn on my computer after it has gone to sleep. And I don't like Wake on LAN because I find that janky as shit, and has been some not work, something work. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, but this is a SwitchBot. Yeah, it is solenoid. What I was looking for was like a linear actuator that would like do something like this, but I found this, and somebody had mentioned SwitchBot. And so I bought one of these. It's like 30 bucks on Amazon. You also have to buy this little box. It's called a SwitchBot hub, mini hub, and USB, micro USB powered. And basically what it does is it's got a little thing in there that tips down and will turn on your computer if it's gone to sleep. And now I can just say, hey Google, turn on, I think bot 20 is what it's called. But when you do that, I can do that from anywhere in the world, which is great. I don't have to worry about a VPN. I can do it from my Google Home app on my phone. Probably not the most secure thing, but I don't have to set up a VPN. I don't have to do all of this junk if I need to turn on my box remotely. If I'm in Vegas doing DEF CON and I've edited some video, I also have Sync Thing on this box, so I can activate my box. It will copy stuff to my local box here over, Sync Thing. And then I can process the video through DaVinci Resolve. It has my DaVinci Resolve server on the same network, so it works great. I was trying to figure out how to set it up properly, but I ended up having to straddle because it has an on switch and a reset. There we go. It's giving you a smooth jazz that you need. Yeah. No, you didn't just lose audio. I think it was the whole thing. Yeah, I know. My microphones. I'm I'm beginning to wonder if these are a long-term solution or not, because I have had a few issues with these microphones. So let me plug my laptops in. Yeah, there we are. This has not been a red letter day for me in streaming today. So charging up my Shure Lav mics. It may end up that I'll have to move back to my original mic, but we'll see. So yeah, I love the ALOM and iLOMs. I would have loved to have had those. They have a PCI slot in them, so I don't know if they would still work with Windows, but I mean, for $28, if it would work, that's great for lab, you know, if you want to hook those things up. So, but yeah, introduction, Oracle's introduction to lights out management. How old is this doc? Oh my God, look at the UI on this shit. Gross. Yeah, back when Sunfire 280Rs was the deal, and you used 440 power for them and 3-phase power, it was, yeah, good times, good times. And yeah, if you're still running some old ass Sun boxes, iLOM was another one. Some of them were integrated lights out. It was actually embedded on the motherboard itself. Yeah, to your point, yeah, why don't they do this in the modern world? I don't know. You know, that would be nice. I think with our move to the cloud, you can't really put an iLOM in. I don't think to work like that. For most folks, it would be like, well, we're just going to shut this box down and reboot and put another box in there. So Compacts had them in a little battery pack. Oh, really? I remember using some of the compact Presarios back in the day. They went away, and good thing they did, because you know the only way that you could replace any parts was you had to use specific compact, you know, floppy drives and CD-ROM drives and DVD-ROM drives and stuff. We had a hell of a time replacing kit that was on those at the time. So, but yeah, so you know, Crowdstrike is. I wouldn't say I did not like it. It was just a different PC company. I found them, they were almost like Apple, I think, which I'm not calling them ahead of their time, but they were definitely like, you know, ecosystem, like you were locked into a specific ecosystem. So, but yeah, so from a business point of view, it looks like Crowdstrike is going to be working to make it a little less painful for, you know, deployment strategies. Being able to do a staggered deployment strategy seems to make the most sense for rapid response content. You know, they're going to have canary deployments. So yeah, starting with canary deployments. So they're probably going to be dog fooding more. I would hope that they're going to be like, hey, you know, every Crowdstrike employee is going to get this update first, and if we brick our own systems, at least we won't be bricking the global network economy. Let me see, improving monitoring for sensor and its performance, collecting feedback during deployments to guide a phased rollout. So right, yeah, you know, we did this and CPU usage goes up 15%. Well, is that something that we want to push on everyone else? 15% CPU increase? And then providing customers with greater control over the delivery of those. So I thought perhaps you could already opt out of rapid response content deployments, but maybe they don't have that ability yet, or maybe you can say, yeah, we want to push this only to certain boxes. Maybe you know, we want to push this to our own test network, and we want to test it on our own network because we don't trust Crowdstrike, and we want to test it on our own, you know, environment, you know, test environment before we push it out to our own fleets. I think that's always a good thing. I think, you know, there's going to be companies that'll be like, yeah, we trust, you know, Crowdstrike because we can't trust to patch our own shit, or, you know, security people can't be trusted to patch our shit, or IT people won't patch our own shit. So I think there's a lot to be learned here. I think who was I talking to the other day? We had some people over entertaining, and one of the ladies at our meeting was also dealing with the outage as well. They work at a local tech company, and she works in the GRC department and having to work through the CrowdStrike outage. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be interesting for companies that use CrowdStrike or have any agents that automatically do updates on their systems if they're not already doing some kind of phased approach or what have you. there, might be room in contracts coming up for SLAs or, remuneration if they didn't, they don't have that kind of, hey, what happens if you push us an update that causes something to fail? If they don't have that already, they probably need to look at doing so. But yeah, so yeah, good times. Anyway, talked about the 8.5 million stuff already. Patrick Wardle and them are analyzing the sensor and the Crowdstrike.zip files. Yeah, Kevin Beaumont. Here's the zip file if you wanted to go and analyze it yourself. Again, I don't know if anybody saw that, but if you're late to the party, there that is. Yeah, Southwest probably isn't a CrowdStrike customer. So there you go. And ILM cards are good. So there you go. So for those of you who are following along, I'm going through this video right now to watch the video through before I start poking around analyzing malware. Yeah, I think we do have to ask the question, if the endpoint protection is so expensive and easy to cause mayhem with, is the endpoint the real elephant in the room? Well, that is a good question. I think this comes back to some of the discussion that I had with, where it's a security control, right? Is the endpoint the real elephant in the room? So are you trying to say that Windows is the problem, or are you trying to say that the endpoint security solution is the problem, or the security that we're putting on there is the problem? Because I have broached this question before. I think I said it poorly, but I was like, we have a network, and we're supposed to protect the network, but we spend so much time maintaining the security of that network, and we're still not secure. Windows needs this solution. I think it comes to, I don't want to say personal preference, but Defender could just as easily have bricked a lot of Windows systems that didn't affect, Mac or Linux. This could have very well not have been CrowdStrike problem at all, and been like, hey, Windows Defender pushed out an update that bricked a bunch of machines. As a matter of fact, I seem to remember that, did Windows Defender brick some machines? Windows Defender. Yeah. No, that's not what I was looking for. I want to say that there was a story or something that had happened a few year ago or 2 years ago that it was Windows Defender pushed out an update that actually caused some kind of sys file that was important to be considered untrustworthy and was causing issues as well. I wonder why we use these huge monolithic Windows servers with this huge footprint we have to protect when we can just is a 4-letter word for me, when we can just run containers and really thin services with smaller footprints. I have to ask a question. What industry vertical do you work in? Do you work at a startup? Do you work at a huge ass legacy company? Is it a Fortune 5, Fortune 10 company? I would just kind of like to understand, are you working at a place where you're also, the head developer, head security, head trash guy, person, don't want to make any assumptions here. Just a hobbyist. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've worked at companies like HP and EDS, with huge physical presence. It's easy to say, yeah, we can just run containers, but I would argue that containers have their own problems too. I would say Docker and anything like that have their own issues. IT company, I mean, that's a lift, right? I mean, the same people right after this CrowdStrike thing, I mean, not even 5 minutes after CrowdStrike and all this shit came up, you got a bunch of people wailing and gnashing of teeth going, well, I think this is going to make me want to move away from CrowdStrike. I'm like, you're not going to leave CrowdStrike because one, you're probably not the person making the decision. So you're just wailing and gnashing and shaking your impotent fist in rage for no reason. A lot of people who say that shit have no control over that. They just like to say that shit because it gets clicks. I would say moving, I mean, we still have people and companies that have physical data centers who don't want to move to the cloud. We actually saw, I think, during the pandemic or a little bit after, we saw people going back from the cloud back to physical stuff. Making a move where we're just running on containers, it's not going to get away from security. It's not going to make you more or less secure. There's going to be different technologies you're going to have to purchase to make it secure. You're still going to need monitoring. You're still going to need some kind of endpoint security on those devices. You're still going to need patch management. Granted, your patch management is going to be, hey, I'm going to blow this container up and I'm going to put a new one in place. There's still security that has to be added in there, and you have to have an IT or a security team that actually knows what containers are and how to use them. Retooling, hey, you know, if you go in tomorrow and say, hey, we've got a bunch of Windows servers, we're going to get rid of them and put containers in. Great. How are we going to do that? When are we going to do that? I'm not saying it's not, it is a solution. If somebody came in and said, hey, I just saw this in CIO magazine, containers are cool, we should do those things. Great. When are we going to do that? We're going to do that when we're not doing Patch Tuesday, when we're not dealing with this audit, when we're not doing this compliance requirement, when we're not dealing with this incident, when Joe Bob Billy just phished us and we're now, you know, dealing with ransomware. It's got to be time, and it's going to take effort, and it's going to take training because not everybody understands containers, and not everybody's securing their containers properly. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm just saying there's a lift there. And I understand where you're thinking. Yeah, thin services, you're going to save a lot of money. Hey, fix it. Yeah, you may save money in the long run, but you're going to spend money on the back end with that level of effort to move all of your Windows apps into containers, Windows containers or what have you. There's going to be a lift there. There's going to be securing issues. You know, you're still going to use firewalls. You're still going to use VPN. You won't be able to get rid of everything because it's just the way things are. Yeah, I don't have a better answer for you there. I mean, I've worked at HP, I've worked at EDS, I've worked at Xerox, I've done payment processing. I mean, I just found the whole can't boot until I delete a file and fix, and can't fix because I can't boot a thing to be the paradigm of the design. With a container, we'd just kill the container and roll back, right? You could, that is definitely a solution you could do. You know, and to your point with the endpoints, you know, if your employees can't get on their computers to issue those rollbacks, you know, that's a problem. I did find, because I wasn't online, so by the time I got up the next morning, all I had was a text message that said, hey, we've got a global outage, et cetera, et cetera. I booted up my computer, I didn't have any problems, but by that time they had already stopped the deployment of that through our network. Yeah, I mean, there is a catch-22 there. I can't boot the system, and that is a problem. And there are people who were talking on Twitter. It's like, oh, isn't an EDR basically a rootkit or something? And yes, it does display a lot of the same functionality as a rootkit. It runs at ring 0 because it needs the ability to monitor the network, but that's not CrowdStrike specific. Every endpoint security solution, even Defender, runs at a super low level. You own that and bypass that, and you run into those kinds of issues. So, but yeah, I saw a lot of that on Twitter too. I was like, oh, why does EDR need to run at ring 0? And it's like, because if you're going to find malware, if you're going to find those things, it's a different kind of rootkit. I wouldn't say it's good. It's just different, right? But yeah, I mean, it's going to be the same for any endpoint security company or endpoint security technologies. No, it's all good. I'm not trying to poo-poo on anything. I mean, there are definitely solutions you can do, and I bet a lot of companies are like, maybe there's some things we can do. I mean, I actually suggested, there's a lot of companies out there that are not patching things because, oh, that system can't go down because, this. And I was like, it's currently down right now. Maybe you could run some patches on that shit. And so, I was thinking, maybe this is one of those opportunities where you could do some recovery of your systems by putting up some backups, where it's like you've got a hot backup so you can run patches on that system that needs high availability. So now you know which ones you need to have up and running. There's definitely room for improvement for some IR company or for some companies that are, still running IR. If you're Delta, you're still fucking ruined right now. So Delta Airlines is going to be talking to Congress, but for an entirely different, it's tangential to that issue. So the U.S. is investigating Delta's response to cancellations and faltering response to the global tech outage. They, on Monday, had to cancel an additional 4,000 flights because their systems were still shit. They had 500,000 airline passengers that couldn't get anywhere. I saw several posts on Reddit where it was like, hey, I'm supposed to go on vacation. I'm stuck in Minneapolis because Delta can't do shit. Or the flights were so extremely delayed because they were, 500. Oh, they canceled 500 flights yesterday, down by more than half from Monday, but still accounted for nearly 2/3 of all canceled flights in the United States. I appreciate that. Yeah. It's, there's definitely room for improvement for a lot of companies. And this is going to, some of people may be legitimately rethinking CrowdStrike. But I've also seen stuff and it's like, hey, this is why we don't put everything into one basket. And if your endpoint security solution is Defender, that may be a solution that works for you. But, consolidating of tech, if everything is running on, Microsoft, then you run the risk of that being your single point of failure. Conversely, you don't want 3 different endpoint security solutions in your company because now you've got interoperability problems, you've got visibility issues, you've got logs that need to be normalized, and you're adding additional complexity that doesn't necessarily need to exist. There's a risk there, right? The risk is, hey, we used CrowdStrike and we got burnt. Next week it could be, hey, we used SentinelOne and we got burnt. Or, hey, we got Carbon Black and we got burnt. This could have easily been any one of those companies where it had been like, hey, this bank has gone down because they used Carbon Black or whatever. Not apologizing that, CrowdStrike did what they did. But it could happen to any endpoint security company. We're just, they're the shit du jour right now, and so, but yeah, I mean, and to your point there, yeah, there may be people investigating ILOM or ALOM or some way of fixing those things on the back end. If you can boot to safe mode, I think that was what some people at my company was being told to do was, hey, here's how you boot to safe mode, and here's how you can delete that sys file, and this is how you can get yourself back up and running. Oh, you're running a Mac, okay, you're fine. So it's just it is what it is. But yeah, so I think the CEO of CrowdStrike has already talked to Congress. Had a real smart looking suit on, but Delta is probably going to be talking to Congress about the fact that their IR sucks, or their infrastructure sucks, or they're failing to recover as quickly because of reasons. Most airlines except one. 22nd. I think I saw an article from today. They were like, they still had airline chief said it would take another couple days before the worst is clearly behind us. Crew scheduling program was busted. So that was the biggest issue for them, was their crew scheduling program. maybe their stuff is, I mean, they're running CrowdStrike, so they have to be on at least Windows 8, because I think that's the earliest back that the CrowdStrike sensor will run on. But yeah, they have issues, or they have a third-party IT service that is not that got hit severely bad, so the IT service is potentially out. It could be any number of reasons why Delta still got issues, and they're going to be having to investigate that now, because the government has shined its eye of Sauron upon them, and they're going to have to work through that. So yeah, I mean, there's probably other companies that are still dealing with some of the impact from this as well. So if you're in a cloud-based company, you're probably not running a lot of Windows, I would hope. So a lot of your endpoint solutions are probably still doing poorly. So way back in the 90s, I used to work for NAI, who briefly acquired McAfee. So that's why I have an interest in cybersecurity, unless it was many years ago. So just a hobby for now until I find a job that pays for it. Yeah, that's cool. Every company, I think, is going to come they're going to have their CrowdStrike moments, some more than others. I did get a little salty about, no, that's cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, there was a couple of people trying to make connections to the fact that the CEO of CrowdStrike was the CTO of McAfee back when there was an outage of some kind. And, they were trying to say, oh, it's 14 years difference, 2 different companies, 2 different outages. And I was like, fuck out of here with that. I mean, it's like, seriously, I'm not trying to defend the guy, but I mean, it's like, I could find 2 companies that you worked for that had outages as well, and, have the same, same conspiracy shit. I was like, he was the CTO at one company, which means he wasn't involved with day-to-day operations. He's the CEO of a fun company. Is he going to be approving every patch or every push that happens? No. Yeah, so it's just fucking the amount of bullshit that was on LinkedIn and Twitter for this thing was just legion. And that's why I ended up going and hanging out on Reddit for the past 5 days. So, yeah, United had 1,500 flights canceled. Delta has canceled more than 5,500 flights since Friday. That's rough. That is rough. 2/3 of all cancellations on Monday, including nearly all in the U.S. I think this would have been far worse if this had been pushed during the U.S. workday. For an hour and 10 minutes, if this had been pushed at, say, 8 in the morning on Tuesday, on a Friday at 9 a.m., I think it would probably have been far worse, to be honest, because U.S. Probably takes up a good number of computers, and having a global outage that started in Pacific time, I would say, would probably be worse than India and APAC region and China and those areas. So, I think we got lucky that it wasn't worse, worser. I don't know. But yeah. Yes, we're living in interesting times and crazy times. To Jeff's point, Jeff, who did this video, but he was saying that this probably disrupted operations overseas as well, because for a lot of boxes that BSODed, if it was a in-memory kind of thing, where it's like it has to write to registry keys or it writes a temp file before the system shuts down, there was no shutdown, right? It BSODed, so there was no graceful shutdown here. So anything that was in memory is now gone, right? So they have to rely on their persistence mechanisms to get back in to systems that have already been owned. If it was Kaspersky, we'd all be saying they did it deliberately. Yeah, exactly. No, just kidding. There would have, I mean, right on the heels of, Kaspersky being told they can no longer do business in the United States after August 22nd, something like that, 27th. And if this had happened, yeah, there would have been, max conspiracy stupids out there talking about how this was, blatant on their part or what have you. So, yeah. So, interesting times. And if any of you are still affected by that, my condolences. So, yeah. Yeah, U.S. Open probe. Concerns abound over why it was so long to get fixed. Let's see what else have we got here. InfoSec related. Some good threat intel write-ups. CrowdStrike hasn't rebounded as quickly as I thought they would. The CrowdStrike stock was still down another 4% today. And so they were at a maximum of 271. So in the last 5 days, you can see they cratered from 345 down to 258. I would still say it might be a safe bet to buy now. This is my Jim Cramer section. I'm not a financial representative, etc. But yeah, they've lost a little bit of value, being up around 345 or what have you. Makes TV and my mom knows about it. The company's probably toast. Hey, Age of Music. They shat themselves, then they rebounded, and then they did something else here that shat themselves on the 22nd, and they sunk again here. I did see an interesting article that the short sellers made almost $1 billion. Yeah, exactly. Moo, ring, 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 ring. What was short selling? CRWD. CrowdStrike outage nets short sellers $978 million. That's nuts. That is nuts. There's no losers in a breach, folks. If you sold short, yeah. So bets against CrowdStrike rose by 12 billion this year. That's nuts. I'm not saying that these two things are connected. I'm just saying if you were a short seller, you made $978 million, as part of those. No, it's all good. It's all good. If it makes the news, I mean, we had guests over on Saturday right after some of this stuff was going on, and it was funny because they're not in tech, so they didn't know what CrowdStrike was, and they do now, right? So for ill or good, they know about it. The folks that were in tech that were there were like, oh yeah, we're dealing with that. So, short sellers made fat loot, the best marketing, yeah. They made $373 additional million on midday marketing on Monday. No, $373 million Friday, and then stock plunged a little bit more, I guess, on Monday and Tuesday. Another $414 million. Whew. Firm found there's $48 billion of short interest in the system software sector. Microsoft accounted for more than half of the total short exposure. Yeah. Ouch. But this was like what happened with SolarWinds, right? Except Microsoft didn't get kicked in the teeth as badly as Mandiant did. When SolarWinds happened, Mandiant was one of the first ones that said, hey, we've been affected by this issue. And Mandiant stock shit the bed back when SolarWinds happened. And then they found out, oh, no, it's not us, it's SolarWinds. And I think I talked about it. I don't think I was on the stream when it happened, but we were talking about it. But I was like, I bought some stock that day with Mandiant, which is now a Google company, but I knew that they were going to get back up. You've seen so many companies fold over less, to be honest. Yeah, some companies with razor thin margins, an outage will put them out of business. But I would argue that they were probably on borrowed time anyway if it, something like that dropped. None as epic as Gerald Ratner. Do I want to Google that? Gerald Ratner. British businessman. Okay. Formerly CEO of Ratner Group. Notoriety after making a speech when he jokingly denigrated two of the company's products. Oh. Womp, womp, womp. What did he say? We do cut glass sherry decanters complete with 6 glasses on a silver-plated tray that your butler can serve you drinks on for $4.95. People say, how can you sell for such a low price? Because it's total crap. Oh, no. Whoops. Cheaper than a prawn sandwich from Marks and Spencer's. I have to say the sandwich will probably last longer than the earnings. Oh, you don't know. Wow. Yes, Ratner's comments have become a textbook example of why CEOs should choose their words carefully. In the fury that ensued, customers stayed away from the shops, plummeted by £500,000, which very nearly resulted in the group's collapse. They hired a chairman to attempt to stabilize the situation and was dismissed by the new company chairman in 1992. Wow. Ouch. Yeah, I don't know how or why CrowdStrike authorized a $10 Uber Eats gift card that ended up getting flagged by Uber Eats as fraud, or by, you know, being shut off because it was far too popular. I don't know if that's because they didn't realize they were sending that to 100,000 people, or whoever they were sending it to. But yeah, that's not good. That's not good. So. And yeah, don't be Gerald Ratner, apparently, you know, and say stupid shit. So, wow. Wowie, wow, wow, wow. Anyways, so, yeah, if you got your $10 gift card from CrowdStrike, could you use it? Because, I mean, $10 for Uber Eats, doesn't it cost like $10 to get Uber Eats to deliver shit to you? So, I don't use Uber Eats, even though I'm in an area of the country where I could probably use it. I find it just easier to. That's a great example to use at a TED Talk. Feel free to use that story. Yeah, the Gerald Ratner and the $10 gift card. They're not. You know, I want to say that there was another company that did something stupid like that too, or uninformed, or you know, I think I did joke in Reddit that it was like, you know, somebody approved that, and the PR folks were like, yeah, probably shouldn't do that, and they're like, yeah, no matter, let's go ahead and do it anyway. But yeah, just saying, sent to partners that help fix stuff, not to customers. Yeah, partners. Okay, so yeah, I guess they got a lot of partners, right? Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, third-party partners like resellers and stuff like that. So, but there were still enough partners, I guess, that it caused Uber to go, yeah, this has probably been used too much. Probably should turn it off. But yeah, that's rough. That's rough. There's a Telegram O-Day? Really? Which O-Day in Telegram is this? Because if you do not have access to Google News. Okay. Womp womp. Okay, yep. Not gonna go to Google News, apparently, to find that out. China's APT-41 targeting global logistics and utilities companies. That's no surprise there. Oh, here, let's go to dark reading. There we go. They got the same thing. God damn it. Okay. All right. If everybody was looking for me to be playing around with malware, I think I mentioned a couple times that I'm walking through this video right now to make sure that I'm doing everything right before I show it on the stream, only because I don't want to be doing something and then it's like, oh, we should have gone back and done this thing. That's probably not something I should have done, and be like, oh, I'm being completely owned. So I'm going to watch the video, and then we'll walk through some of the malware and stuff there if you want. Primogen viewers got the same impression I did though. Oh. Yeah. Dark reading. There we go. Okay. Exploit sold to underground forum requires user action to download an unspecified malicious payload. Okay. Telegram patched an O-Day flaw found in older versions of chat and media sharing application for Android that allows attackers to hide malicious payloads in video files. He did say it was probably a hoax, though. Oh. Primogen viewers got the same impression I did, though. Using the exploit, attackers share Android payloads via Telegram channels, groups, and chat, and make them appear as multimedia files. The exploit appears to rely on a threat actor being able to create a payload that displays an app as a multimedia preview, not as a binary attachment. Once shared in chat, the malicious payload appears as a 30-second video. Oh, that's sweet. If you made it a cat video, I would have clicked on it. But I don't use Telegram, so. Or maybe I do. Yeah, I think I do. For a couple things. ESET reported the exploit and flaw to Telegram, which didn't respond initially, spurring the researchers to contact the organization again on July 5th. Telegram responded to the second contact effort, and July 11th issued a server-side fix for 10.14.5 and above of its Android app. I really don't feel safe using Android. You know, again, that's a risk thing, right? It's a risk thing, right? I've seen articles, or I've seen the new Apple promos saying that, you know, Safari is the new privacy browser, and you couldn't get me to use Safari if you wanted to. I'd much rather use Firefox, or dare I say it, even Chrome in this case. Yeah, I would use Firefox before I would use Safari, I think, on anything. I would never use anything Mac. Oh, wait. So you don't feel safe using Android, but you don't use any. Oh no, Fixit doesn't use anything Mac. Okay, well, see, again, different strokes, different folks. From an updates perspective, I have no idea if my phone is safe or not. I don't know. How does a Mac or an iPhone make you believe it's safe from its update mechanism? Is it change logs, or is it, you know, I don't know, the UI make you, does the user experience from an iPhone give you that? Because I have both. I have you know, it's not an iPhone 15, it's an iPhone SE, but well, because I rely on a Chinese hardware vendor for my update. I see. So super secure. I'm assuming that's tongue well in the cheek there on that. And my Huawei phone is completely, you know, I'm doing pretty good. Third-party phone, Huawei's and everything. So I'm assuming. Hey, Killer Donny, how you doing? Third-party phone. I'm assuming it's like a OnePlus or something like that. They're whooping you. Attacker provides other shady services. The researchers acknowledge the extra step of actually having to install the alleged external player. Okay, so the bad guys have created a 30-minute video that's really a malicious thing, but to play it, you have to download an external player that the customer, you know, maybe there's 2 or 3 telecom companies in the world that don't use Huawei and they're knock. Yeah. Ule phone. So I don't get the latest Android updates. I'm sure it's an Ule phone. Ule phone. Rugged outdoor smartphone. Okay. Interesting. Armor T25T Pro 5G. That's an interesting UI. Good. You can put it in water for whatever reason. Armor series, high-end performance and rugged durability. Ultra walkie-talkie, so it's got an external. It's got interesting. So it's got an antenna that you can add to it. I want to get into Blue Team. What would be the cert route if I have done a bachelor's in a non-IT field? So, Killer Donny, I have an outdoor job, so you need battery and rugged. I can see that. I would also, you know, solar panel or something like that to be able to charge it. It's got a big ass battery, 15600 milliamp hour mega battery, 120 watt mega charge. Holy shit. They got a lot of colorful things here. Let's see, mega 33 watt charging, dock charging, MediaTek, charge it once a week. I see. I thought it might have like satellite communications like an iPhone does, where if you needed to, you know, turn it into a sat phone for something to be able to call for emergency purposes. Has UHF and VHF band radio. Well, that almost works like a long-range walkie-talkie, so that might be pretty cool. Killer, for your information, a non-IT field. So are we talking like you got an MFA, a Master's in Fine Arts, or biology, or, you know, are you in the sciences, hotel restaurant management? What kind of non-IT business? Oh, you got an MBA. Okay. and you want to get into security or blue team, I'm assuming it's an MBA or something like that. You got a BBA maybe, bachelor's in business, BBA. Yeah. One, are you planning on making that an MBA, or are you just going to stick with the BBA part? What makes you want to get into blue teaming? Because I would say from a business point of view, your bachelor's of business administration would at least give you a leg up on why the business does what it does. And hopefully that would allow you to give your company that you're working with, when you're dealing with security people, and you're dealing with management, you can talk about things in a security manner. I have a lot of I've been in a lot of CTFs having fun. So how well did you do in those CTFs? Because I will say the CTFs don't mimic real world, but they do, show that you're methodical. You've got a penchant for troubleshooting things and finding interesting bugs or findings. Because I have known people, and I've interviewed people that are like, don't have a lot of experience in InfoSec or security, but I get to talk to them and they're like, oh, I have a black badge because I won the DEF CON CTF. And I'm like, why the fuck haven't you put that on your resume? If you've been to a conference, say Blue Team Con or something like that, and you won the CTF there, I would absolutely put that shit on my resume. I would find some way to put that on a resume, like under an achievements or something like that. If you're if you're really high ranking on Hack the Box or something like that, I would definitely add those things. But to your cert route, I've seen a lot of folks in R hacking on Reddit and R cyber security talking about the CompTIA trip, which they call A+, Security Plus, Net Plus, those kinds of things. I don't think you could go wrong with Security Plus. Yeah, Sec Plus is a good one. Sec Plus is always a good one to start with. I actually, my wife and I were talking about, AI and, some of those things. And I think the way we're going to be doing things in the future is going to change, because AI is changing so much and technology is changing so much that a typical tech degree like in IT or something like that, when you're going to college, by the time you start college and go 4 years in a technical field, the tech will have changed so much that this will be mostly not useful. So colleges are going to have to be a bit more agile, I think, in what they're teaching, how they're teaching. And maybe it's not a 4-year degree for IT or information security, or even a CS degree. If you're doing a purely program type stuff, maybe you could get away with that, because C and C and Python and those aren't going anywhere. But how they're being used, or the rise of things like AI is going to make some things obsolete or change things so rapidly that your degree is going to be mostly theory, I think, by the time you get out of there. D-Dub says, I have the CompTIA trifecta. Also studying for my SSCP this weekend. Okay. Yeah, SSCP is a good one. Yeah, system, it's an ISC squared 1 system security certified practitioner. That's a good one. I would also say if you're going to work for a cloud company, maybe some of the AWS stuff or Azure, AWS certs, those can't go wrong. You can get some certifications for cloud-based companies. So if companies you're looking at are, we're in an Amazon stack or we're an Azure stack. It might be useful to see some of those. Those are available as well. I'm not saying that they're going to help you get a job, but they can't hurt to be on the resume by saying, hey, I've completed AWS cloud certification, or if you're going to try to get a job at Amazon, it wouldn't hurt to have AWS certifications either. Same with, if you want to work for a cloud company or you're going to work for Azure certifications. Some of these are fairly cheap. and don't need you to go to a boot camp. So, like exploring Azure learning paths. So you can browse Azure trainings, all kinds of stuff in here. They're not a piece of paper that says, hey, I'm Azure certified or whatever, but there's definitely, like, you could fundamentals of generative AI. So there you go. We can Azure AI for hour and 13 minutes of generative AI discussion, or fundamentals of responsible generative AI. Some of these may or may not be good. I don't know. Really depends, but you can't go wrong, describing Azure storage services. Some of these things are good. Some companies, I don't know if Azure does this, but AWS at one time had like a free tier that you could use to use any and all of their stuff. They would, give you some limited resources that you could use to play with, to learn how to use Lambdas or RDS or Route 53. You could set up some free tiered, machines that would last X number of days without charging you anything. I don't know if Azure does something like that. I would hope they did, if they want you to try to learn how to use their stuff. But now you got career paths here if you want to be a data scientist or developer or identity and access administrator. That's kind of a big thing. As we start, dealing with AI and all that, identity and access management is going to be a huge thing. Free tier for the first year, and then they start charging you. I don't know. Here you go. Security operations analyst. There you go. Responsibilities reduce organizational risk by rapidly mediating active attacks in the environment. Killer, do you do bug bounty stuff? Any kind of, are you notable for any kind of bug bounty things? Yeah, don't put a credit card in there that you're not willing to, rack up about. Sometimes if you start things on that free tier, they should be warning you, hey, you're going to get charged for this. So I would maybe see if you can try to use something like a gift card that has so much money on it, and then that way, if you blow through your $50, your stuff will just shut off, or you won't get charged or what have you. But you're gonna keep up on that and make sure that you turn everything off. Getting into bug bounty, I would say it wouldn't hurt. It would definitely give you insight into how the process works. There's definitely some training for Burp Suite and what have you if you want to interrogate APIs or do things like scanning for XSS. It will help you understand the basics and know what to look for if you're wanting to get into Blue Team or the like. I'm not saying it's the best way. I'm saying it's a way, right? So there's Bug Crowd. They're the number one site, crowdsourced cyber, bug bounty program according to this. I'm sure HackerOne says the same thing on their site. Number one, weird. So yeah, you can always set up accounts for those. They're free to create. There's also bug bounty. Reddit, where you can go and you can read some of the trials and tribulations that a lot of people have with that, and they also sometimes give help on request smuggling and things like that. Again, I'm not saying it's the only way; it is a way, but OWASP and Portswigger, yeah, you can definitely go there. Portswigger's got a lot of good training for how to use Burp Suite, which is free, and you can go there for that. They have AppSec testing and scanning. If you want to buy Burp Suite, it's like $300-ish bucks, $400-ish bucks. But the community edition is more than good enough to do a lot of what you're wanting to do. Yep, Hack the Box Academy is another good one. I've done some stuff on Hack the Box as well. Been on it since you actually had to figure out the flag to be able to get the invite code to be able to get in there. But yeah, we've done some stuff on here for certifications. Those, you can't go wrong with those either. There's a lot of good stuff here too. And I think it's somewhat cheap. I would not, unless your company will pay for it, I wouldn't go for SANS training, because it's like $8,000 for a class. And But yeah, I mean, there's definitely stuff here. You could say, you know, certified bug bounty person. You could be a defensive security analyst. I have no experience with these, but it looks like, you know, if you wanted to be a SOC analyst, job paths and roles are available here if you want to see what's up with those. It can't hurt, and you know the UI is pretty good. Some content's better than others, but you can work through all those, and it looks good on the resume, and it looks like you're going to put in that effort to do those things. So yeah. Comic-Con is happening starting tomorrow here in the San Diego area, and we're going to go to the zoo tomorrow. So hopefully we will not see a lot of overflow from Comic-Con at the zoo. We could see it. I don't know. A lot of people there the first day is probably going to want to go to Comic-Con though, but we're staying the hell out of downtown San Diego for that. So yeah, good times. But yeah, killer to your point. There's no bad way, I think, to go about getting into security. I would even say you might work on what your bachelor's in business taught you about business concepts, business roles. What's the role of security in business? Leverage that to your advantage in your resume when you're saying, hey, I understand how business works, or I understand the functions of business, why it's important. Because a lot of folks who don't come from that kind of background, security people, a lot of times, they don't see the big picture. There's not a lot of big picture thinking when we're thinking about security. A lot of it is tactical, or see a problem, fix a problem immediately. And it's like, hey, we have this super critical issue, and it's like, we need to fix it now. And the business folks are like, yeah, no. And you will often butt heads with those folks. So having that insight is important. Is there a difference between Comic-Con and the zoo? At the zoo, there's more furries. Yeah, we'll go with that. Thank you for the setup there, Digital Warhead. Appreciate you. But I love both. I haven't been to Comic-Con. I think I'd probably go nuts with the crowds, but after DEF CON, DEF CON, Comic-Con may just be a walk in the park. So we'll see what happens with DEF CON. But it's more furries. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, no, that was bad. What? Well, come here. I was just about to give up on you. What are you gonna do? You gonna get up here? Come on. There we go. There. Yeah, you'd like to go to the zoo too, don't you? You do? Yes. You're more famous than I am on my stream. You are. Yes, you are. You had a good day? Yeah. Okay. Well, I know. Grandma's here, isn't she? She took your spot. She doesn't like it when Grandma's here because Grandma takes her spot on the couch. So, anyway, yeah, I would say, going back before I was so rudely interrupted, having that business acumen, having that business experience with whatever previous discussion, whatever your previous jobs have been, you can show that kind of insight and just say, this is, I bring a business side to the security stuff. I mean, good storytelling, being able to work those issues. What kind of blue team role were you looking for there, Killer, when you were talking about that stuff? I mean, there's a lot. You said SOC analyst. Okay. So yeah, 165 sections. Incident handling. Yeah. I mean, incident handling and response is always good. I mean, I don't know. I would say start creating some content potentially. Might be something there. I always thought that this would actually help me get a better job. Maybe your business acumen will help you with like marketing and things that I don't have. Might be helpful there. But yeah, yeah. So good stuff here. Let me see. Yeah, the Azure folks have the training for security operations analysts. Let me see. But yeah, AWS also has similar trainings for. They have similar trainings. I don't know if I showed these pages earlier, but again, they can help you, with that. I don't get too crazy. I would say the Sec Plus is probably a good starting point overall. To Digital Warhead's point, Security Plus is probably a good place to start if you're wanting to do that. You can always do these in your off time. They don't cost anything. So, if they don't cost anything, a lot of employers may not see any value in those trainings. But your hack the box stuff, some people in Blue Team will probably know what hack the box is, so that'll have a little cache. Cache, is it cache? Oh, you're about to knock that off? Oh my goodness, you're a pain in the ass. Look, you're embarrassing me. Stop it. You're a grown-ass cat. Which part of entry-level cybersecurity specification jobs have been lacking new people? I heard CISA is lacking people. My girlfriend wants to get into non-technical side of security, so just wondering. If you go for Sec Plus, I'd recommend doing the Net Plus first. A lot of similar overlap with Net Plus really helped me on the Sec side. Yeah. Which part of entry-level cybersecurity specialization jobs have been lacking new people? CISA, cybersecurity governance, is lacking people. I don't have a lot of experience with. You say CISA, I'm assuming you mean like GRC. GRC is cybersecurity governance, risk, and compliance. There's always a need for those folks, but it's been my experience a lot of people in the GRC realm tend to go for the ISACA stuff. ISACA. Which is, governance. Now they have AI governance training. Weird. You gonna get down? Okay. So yeah, I mean, there's a ton of that stuff out there. Non-technical side of security. I mean, yeah, it depends on what her background is. I don't know what your girlfriend's background is outside of non-technical. If she's a PM or something like that, there's always security PMs you could be. Product management has some, security or non-security stuff. Oh, that's making me crazy. Yeah, I guess it depends on what your girlfriend wants to do on the technical side there. So. Anyway, so if you have any other questions, feel free to hit up our Discord. You can join us there. We got a lot of folks on there who can ask and answer questions for you. There's, I don't think there's any wrong answer on how to get into InfoSec. I think it just depends on, there's going to be some storytelling you're going to have to tell recruiters if you're moving or changing jobs. Also, there's a lot of weirdness going on with hiring in the security field right now. And it's not just security fields, it's a lot of places. I think they're trying to figure out what to do with AI and how AI is going to be impacting a lot of things. Add to it the return to work stuff. There's a ton of weirdness going on right now with that. I would say, as much as I loathe LinkedIn right now, going on there and just looking to see what jobs are available and what they're looking for. I think in some of the job descriptions, you'll find pretty quickly which ones don't know what the hell they're talking about. And because if they don't make sense to you, why would I need this? Then they probably don't know themselves. The other thing that I've also been trying to tell people is just apply to those jobs. I mean, they're going to ghost you anyway, but if for every time you're ghosted, then you're going to get every 10 ghosts you're going to get one. But if you see on things like LinkedIn, if 800 people have applied to the job already, I would say move along. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. I don't know if that answered your questions or anything like that, but I'm going to need to go because at 6-ish o'clock, we're going to be heading to a venue to watch Star Trek, the Pine version. Sure, no problem. We're always here. And like I said, our Discord is available. We have a job board on there. If you're interested, our Slack, which is also available, has a career advice channel section. I can give you the link to that if you want it. And so I think I'm going to go so that I can. Cool. Well, all right. Let's hit up Theo. I'm gonna go because I gotta get ready for the concert, and so let's go raid someone named Theo. Now, if you missed the discussion from Crowdstrike about my discussion about Crowdstrike, he's also going through talking about some proprietary binary files over there. So feel free to ask him to answer any questions he might have over there. Plus, he's going to be doing some stuff on Node.js and Astro Server Islands. So go check that out. So hope everyone has a good day. I'll see you hopefully on Friday, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves, because we're fond of saying here, you're the only you have. All right, bye everybody.